All right, so we got all we need. I mean, we can go
Thanks,
print
sir.
another one if we need to. You need one?
I got one already.
Okay, everyone got one.
Rachel needs one though.
All right. Yeah, let me,
I'm sorry.
actually, do you
I can
have
share,
a
we
copy?
can
I
share
just
one.
have the digital version. So
We can share.
Um,
I'm
You
fine
can
with it.
do.
okay, yeah,
Mine's there.
I'm right here.
Okay.
or you can put that up.
Yeah, I have it
Maybe
here.
both of us can. There you go.
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay. Sorry, we're a little behind. We're ready and we're recording this meeting so we can archive it for later. Okay. We don't have a chair, sorry. That's part of this, one of the things we'll address today as part of this meeting. So would one of you be willing to act as chair as part of this?
I believe Bobby is the vice chair, so that would be
Okay.
under
If
his.
you're willing,
Oh, all right, it's 11:04. I'll call the meeting to order,
it's 10:04, just for the
or
record.
10:04.
That clock. we're-
Sorry about that. It's
we're Time
10:04.
traveling with that
So I'll call
clock.
the meeting to order for the Historical Zoning Commission. Today is February 22nd. First item on the agenda will be approval of the minutes from our October 26th meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. I'll ask if there's any modifications or amendments or changes.
I'll make a motion to ratify the minutes as presented.
I'll
Motion to
second.
approve and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. This next item on the agenda is Iron Tusk Art at 215 East Main Street for a certificate of appropriateness for a new sign. That application is in your packet. And if everyone will take a look at that. Are there any questions on it? Comments? This is simply, there were two in here for this. So this first sign
Is the pylon sign
It's-
around back?
is the pylon sign around back that is shown, and that'll go in one tenant panel on the back.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a picture of the
Yeah.
location of it.
Okay. And it's just gonna be black and white, just as it's presented.
That is correct.
No cover on the sign. Okay. All right. I have no. Anybody have any comments or issues with that, or?
I have no issues. Katie, David, is there any concern from the city's perspective about this?
No.
Okay.
This is a unique sign in that the pylon is actually on a different tax parcel, which is why there's two different COAs for these, but this is part of this bigger campus and has historically been on these separate things. So
Do they need to be approved separately or? in one?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
approve them separately.
Okay, so just regarding the pylon sign at the back with that sign panel. A motion relative or any other discussion from a member?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion on this? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. The next item on the agenda is Iron Tusk Art at 215 East Main Street, a certificate of appropriateness for a new sign. This is a sign that I guess I'll refer to as a blade sign, so to speak, that will hang on the front of the building on Main Street. And I know I saw that.
Mhm.
My question, I only have one question on that, really, is this, I guess this, well, I have two questions. The same being, is it, as the artwork shows, is it also just, it's basically a black and white sign?
Yes, sir, for the most part. There might be a lighter cream color in the backdrop, but for all intents and purposes, it's white.
Okay. The size of that is one thing I'll ask, is that, I wonder, there was a sign for the Oasis that, is that where this one is going, or is
No,
this
that
near
one's across
that?
the street, actually
Okay.
on the church, and that one is currently in place.
Do we know the size of that, the length, the 5-foot length to me sounded like a
A lot.
larger sign than what I would anticipate for a lot of the blade signs, so I was wondering how that have a size
Yeah,
related to
no,
the
no.
Oasis
This is
sign.
Emmett Upton. He's representing this business in these applications. Welcome.
Close, I'm William
Oh,
Upton,
Wilson.
yeah, the brother. It's modeled after the Oasis sign. The same gentleman that made the Oasis sign is making our Iron Tusk sign. And he said the Oasis is 2x5. It might look a little different proportionate to how high up it is.
Okay,
So we're modeling it off of that design.
okay, and in size too.
Inside, yeah, in
Okay.
scale and in just proportion.
Okay,
That Oasis sign is 5 feet by 2 feet.
That's according to the sign maker. We
Wow.
spoke, his name is Steve Davis. He made all the signs on Main Street. So, I think he's the subject matter expert on this.
It's gonna
Um,
hang about the same spot, looks like, relative to the buildings.
Similar.
Similar, Raven actually made a good point about hanging it at an appropriate height to not obscure,
The windows that are there.
yeah, the
Because
view.
when we finish upstairs, we will have, those windows will stay in place, or, new windows, but the same location of them. So I didn't want it to be blocking anything looking out that window. So, but we also don't want it blocked so that you can't see it because the awning that's on Renewed Creations next to it, but they're gonna place it appropriately. So it's trying not to block any views.
okay.
I think
Your
the-
store is beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Your store is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah, everything looks great.
I would just say that I think the shape of the sign is what provides the optical illusion. It
Mhm.
doesn't look 5 feet over there because it tapers on both ends, and maybe that's why.
You're also next to a tree. So you're,
The tree's huge.
yeah, so the tree is huge. So that looks really small. So it's just an illusion.
No, I think it'll look good. I like the blade signs and I like how it'll hang. Is there an existing arm up there or it'll hang? He'll hang. it
There's
from a
not an
metal arm?
exit, yeah, he'll have a new metal arm, but there
Okay.
is a spot where it looks like there was one previously because of where it's already pre-drilled into the brick, but there's not a metal arm up there currently.
Okay.
But it does look like there was one at one time.
I assume this too, it should meet all of our sign codes. and
Fantastic.
everything.
Yes, and on that note, we put in on to the staff reports this time around, whether it met the guidelines or not. You may see that in your staff report and including that specific provision about whether it meets the sign code. So going forward, you'll be able to look at that and get a quick snapshot view of what it meets or what anything meets or doesn't meet on any of these COAs.
Okay. Any other questions from any members? If not, is there a motion relative?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks good. Okay, the next item on the agenda. Pitch at 121 East Main Street, certificate of appropriateness, application for new signs. Next item and. Make sure I find it. Pages have gotten mixed up.
Oh, it's on page 23 or
24.
yeah,
23.
just around 20.
Okay, I see.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yep.
One of my questions I had about this, the 2x2 sign, it's gonna be flat on the building, right? It's not gonna be projecting out the
No,
arm or
the-
anything.
The 2x2 sign, we took both sides of that property. We took 121 and 123. Right in the middle of that is a brick wall that is about so big or whatever. That sign, the 2x2 will be flush on that wall.
Okay. And then the 4x4 metal will hang from a bracket up high.
Yes, it's the very top bracket. It is already there. It's an existing bracket. We're just gonna hang from there.
Page 24 has kind of an illustration of those things.
And Kelly on that, that is the actual replica of the sign.
That is the actual sign.
That's the actual
That's,
sign.
that's the
Okay.
actual sign, yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
So they'll match. The one that's.
The
flush on
one that's
wall
faced on the
and-
wall and the one at the top matches.
Okay.
Sure does.
Looks good. I
So
like
is
it.
Thank you.
Your store too
Right
looks
size,
awesome.
it's
Thank
4x4.
Pardon me?
So it's 4x4. the
Yes.
Top one.
The top
It goes
one.
all the way to the top of the building. The bracket is at the top.
Which is shown. Yeah,
Mhm.
existing. And the lower one is a 2x2. It'll mount on the wall from the column.
the against the wall isn't in our guidelines, isn't a kind of traditional location for these signs, but the Historic Zoning Commission has in the past approved signs in that nature, so we feel good moving forward with that precedent. And in addition, as Kelly said, because it's taking up the two bays of that building, it's logical, makes sense why they would want to have a sign there in the middle to indicate that.
I think it looks good.
I think it looks good too.
So the 4x4, because that's bigger than the other. The other one was like 5x2.
Mhm.
So now we've
So
got.
it comes out further, which I think there are some along there that do project out further that are up high like that,
Size.
because it's so high, because this 4x4 is actually gonna be higher than the 2x5 down the street.
Yes, it is. We're gonna be at the top of the building.
Any other comments, questions for the applicant? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
That looks-
Thank you.
looks nice. Next item on the agenda is Manville Chamber of Commerce at 110 South Court Square, a certificate of appropriateness application for a new door on front facade.
We have Don Beasley from the chamber here to represent this application.
The whole purpose of the sign or the new door is to have a new entrance for the IDB. We've been working on this for like 3 years now. The chamber never had the money to put the door in, and instead of the IDB and all of our customers coming up the back stairway, which is not a good way to go. This door now will go directly up their stairway and it'll be blocked off from the rest of the chamber.
Oh, you'll block off from the inside too.
Yes, sir.
You'll close the wall.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And this is a glass door, all glass frame door. Yeah, I saw a picture of it.
Yeah.
And it's white metal.
And it has a transom above it too.
Yes.
What will you do on the brick when you put that in? There's decorative brick that's a soldier's course kind of above that.
Arched, yeah.
So will that be reworked or do you know?
Yes.
Because there's a slight arch on the existing window.
Right. We'll have to block that in. We already have a contractor that can take the brick out and put it back in. That's part of it, and do the installation of the door.
So then it'll have a straight soldier course across of it like your other door goes
Yes,
in.
I believe that's the way it's going to be. It was really difficult to try and find a door that had that round transom,
Mhm.
and plus being very expensive and have to make it.
Okay.
So from a staff perspective, this project is, we would recommend approval with condition, and the condition would be for a door that matches the other doors, not necessarily exactly, but is in the same style as the door in the community room and then on the chamber office. And the thinking is that the cutting of the opening, when you have a new building, the idea is to reflect the existing facade elements. So cutting open that for a door is fine. There's already a window there. It balances still with the existing voids and rhythm of the facade. But there's also a need to kind of match the surrounding character of the area. And so having that full light glass door with an offset kind of handle is a completely different style than the two wooden half light doors that are painted white that have more of like the residential kind of look. And it's clear that when they did this building in 2001, they wanted to really reflect the brick, the kind of the openings of the historic buildings around it and the character of the historic buildings around it. And so that would be the only kind of ask that the condition that we would attach to this COA is to find a door that is more in keeping with the style of the building.
So this proposed door is not that.
No,
Right, it's full
glass.
light.
It's very contemporary. It's,
So they need to change the door.
yeah,
Do you have a picture what the rest of the doors look like?
yeah. We
Yeah, we
do.
do.
Mhm.
Okay. to
It's
try
on
and
page
to find
36.
a door like that, being it's so old, we'll do our best to try and find something that can match that, but I'm not sure whether we can.
You should be able to still get a door like
Yeah,
that,
it's
I
just-
would think.
it's just a
We've
half
used
white,
doors
no
very
grid.
similar to that. I do believe that I don't think that'll put a burden on you. I mean, I think you should be able to find the door. My question would be though, more for Katie, is what is the desire? Because if they match, the two doors the doors themselves match, but of course, in the community room, it has the side lights and the transom above it.
Yeah.
And going in the chamber, it does, it's just the door. So
It's
Right.
just
what
the
would
door.
your thoughts be in that window? The window is higher and then it changes the brick. So would you would not want a transom above it? Or
No,
would
no,
you?
the transom fine. I mean, that's in keeping with what's at
Okay.
the community door level. I think that, you could see balance in a relationship
Mhm.
there with the transom. At least that's how I view it. And I think that's what the guidelines, where there's room in the guidelines. Again, the facade openings are gonna be similar. And the transom is an element already in existence. I don't think he needs to add side lights at all. I think it can just be the transom. It's a narrower space. Side lights there would
Mhm.
look awkward and squished.
Would you give them the option, or I would think it'd make sense to give them the option to go with or without the transom, because it's going to be adjacent to the door into the chamber that does not have a transom.
Yeah.
So from
We
a
can
balance
see that.
standpoint, maybe that either would work. My main concern is either way that they go is, again, I think that the brickwork
Mhm.
should be removed. Which will have to be, but that goes back to match the soldier's course going into the chamber.
That makes sense. So that the entire opening feels in concert with the building in some way.
Mhm. But whether you have a transom over it or not, I think would be,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if we have a
I
strong
think it would
opinion
look
on
better
that.
with a transom now.
The transom would probably help with the brickwork too, because you're having to cut it out anyway, so it would just help with the
Yeah.
amount of brickwork that has to be replaced as far as that arching
I
goes. Still
totally
doing the
agree.
soldier course above it, but
Yeah.
it just, because it makes it a larger opening that way.
And I'm assuming there's a soldier's course above this transom. I just
Yeah.
don't, we
You
can't
can't
tell. in this
really see
photo.
it.
and I'm not sure.
But yeah, I think it should match that opening
Mhm.
when the door goes in.
I'm hearing the brickwork should, if there's a transom, should match kind of how.
Okay,
the
so do we,
treatment under
do
the-
we want to request or have the condition that it does include the transom? Or that it's up to the applicant?
I like the transom.
I think the transom, just because it's on that wall, so it'll create a little bit of continuity across from the community room door all the way across. So I'm okay with the transom. And I do think it would make the brickwork a little bit easier when they're pulling that out, just because it's gonna fill in a larger opening,
Okay.
just from an east standpoint.
All right. So if I'm understanding correctly, I guess I will ask for a motion, but I understand that the motion would be a conditional approval that the door that is in the application is not used and that the door installed would match the two doors that are existing with a transom above it, and that the brickwork would match as well.
Yes.
If so, I'll ask for a motion unless there's any other discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
We appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is crosswalk painting update.
Yes, so this is just to give you all a heads up. We, as part of the bike ped master plan, we're kind of tackling low hanging fruit things that we can do ourselves to get some quick wins. And one of the suggestions was to make the crosswalks downtown, they're beautiful, but they can be a little hard to see. The pressed concrete can be a little hard to see, stamped concrete. So just to paint the bars on the edges of the sidewalks, which we could do ourselves. And And we gave you an example, a Photoshop art example of what kind of we're talking about. And then also an indication of where those crosswalks would be in downtown on page 42 and 43. And so that's just to give you a heads up about that project. We took it to Main Street as well, so they have a heads up about it as well. And I'm not sure when Frank will put it on his team's kind of docket, but that will be something we have to do this fall or this spring.
The only question I have is, which I like these and I think it's needed and I think it definitely adds to, and provides more safety. But the one that will be added right up in what I'll call Court Square, across from the fountain, those are decorative pavers, and I believe in that section.
Yeah.
Where
that's
the
a good
rest is
point.
you're gonna be painting it on asphalt.
Yeah, I feel like, so to your point, Bobby, if you look at the photo that we sent to you and you can kind of you guys can't zoom in as much, but you can kind of see where that black car is turning onto Court Square. The stamped concrete has on the edges like a concrete panel that frames it. So that's what we'll be painting. And I think you're right in the middle. I don't know if there is those same crossbars or, for lack of a better word, that frames so if it's not there, we can kind of think of a different way of handling that. Because it's not about painting over the stamp, over that design. It's about using the kind of existing flat concrete part that exists and painting that. So if it doesn't exist in the middle, we'll come up with a plan B.
Okay, that's the only, I agree. I think that's.
Yeah.
You just put a stripe across those pavers.
Yeah.
That
doesn't look quite as
Yeah,
weird.
we're
It's
not
not
going
gonna
that
look nice.
crosswise there.
Yep.
No,
down
no,
the
just the
sides.
2 lines on either side of the pattern.
And that's just 3 of those.
I think there's just those 3 in the, possibly.
It's
I
actually
think
on
the,
a stamp.
yeah, I think the rest aren't stamped. I think the rest. But I'm going just off memory. I
There
don't
are
know that.
some, we put on the map, you can see all the ones where we think that there'll be those crosswalks, whether they're stamped or not. I think the ones by North Spring Street in Maine, I think, have them as
Yeah.
well.
By the bank.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have the full sea of stamped concrete like in
Yeah.
the middle of the Court Square, but they still mark the pedestrian way with it, so.
Does Morford Street?
I
I don't
don't-
think Morford Street has them, does it?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I feel like I can see it both ways.
I don't think,
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't
so.
think so.
but I'm not sure. But I hope that you give thought to the
Uh-huh.
stamped concrete areas.
Okay. that
So.
sounds good.
All right. And that's just to put us, just kind of a informational.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
all right. Anything else on that? All right, next item would be intersections of Morrison, West Main Street and West Main Street and Lynn
I
Street.
don't think I have it.
Yeah.
Sure what the-
Yeah.
So I met with myself, Nolan and Frank Southern. We met with TDOT. And one of the big concerns that we've had, and it's been an issue for quite some time, is people coming into downtown from the Westwood area and cutting across by the Superama drugstore instead of making a left by Hardee's. And so TDOT, in speaking with us, is considering the idea of, and of course, this would be a city decision as well, making Lynn Street that passes right by Hardee's actually two-way instead of the one-way traffic that it is today that then turns onto Main Street. The other possibility would be Morford is at 1.4 lanes and is much larger than what is really needed from the capacity. And then that's from Morford, from Chancery to Lynn Street. So the idea of making that 2 lanes and reducing it and making large sidewalks on the side was proposed. So these are 2 ideas that we're discussing with TDOT. And so we just kind of wanted to throw that out, let people know and get any feedback from it.
So somewhat on the scope of that, David, would that not be taken into consideration? What I guess is called phase 3, which would be to finish, put the utilities underground and new sidewalks essentially from the Black House on Main Street side and Macmillan Electric on Morford all the way down to Hardee's?
Yeah, that is.
When is TDOT wanting to do the potential paving?
Yeah, so we are listed in about a year for a repaving, but
Okay.
we're actually talking with TDOT about the potential of backing that up a year for the very reason of allowing for these plans to come fruition and for the downtown desires that you're referring to. It would change and would, I believe, enhance Morford and the Lind area. So we would probably want to get started on the downtown redevelopment portions outside of those portions of other areas. But these are a couple of ideas that their engineers came up with that could alleviate some of the traffic concerns that we face today.
Well, obviously, I park there. My office is right there, and I
Yeah.
see people coming the wrong way all the time.
Yeah.
And we too, people from Westwood, because I lived in Westwood for 10 years and I was guilty of it myself, use essentially the Lent CB store like a toll road almost. And the bank from my perspective as well.
Yeah.
So I think a good conversation about that is well needed. So I
Yeah.
appreciate the update.
In the interim, one thing that they suggested, and you'll see it, is we've got, I guess what was,
Reboundable delineators.
yeah, the delineators that you see on, it would be the intersection of Lind and Main, right? Where you've got, yes, in Morrison, Maine. Right there, we put some of those delineators because one of the biggest concerns is if you're coming and turning onto Main, then you've got people that are trying to get over to get into the grocery store there, and then people are turning this way to get onto Main Street. So there's basically crossing and a lot of traffic concerns in that area. So that's as more of a temporary fix, I guess you'd say, to try to prevent that from happening.
History tells me Bobby I think there was a stop sign there at one
There's a
time.
yield sign there
Yeah,
for a long, when I learned to
Yield.
drive, there was a yield sign there.
yeah, I don't know if there was a stop by you, but these, what has been installed, I think is helping,
Yeah.
definitely.
Are the trucks getting caught on? that?
Yeah,
Is that
I've
what's
seen
happening?
several posts on Facebook
Makes
where
you
there's
nervous.
semis getting
Hmm.
stuck on.
The
Yeah.
idea of the reboundables, you can drive over them.
Mhm.
So a truck can supposed to be able to drive over them and they bounce back. And so
Yeah.
their trucks are trying to avoid them when
Yeah,
they're
they're
designed for them.
They're designed to go over.
Well, they're designed, if someone does hit it, that it's not the end of the world, basically, but it's an attempt to have people not do it.
There still is on that point, and from this body's scope of work on the historical, because I live downtown and operate a business downtown, there's still a large amount of commercial traffic that comes in the historical. And is there anything that the city could do in conjunction with TDOT to upload that onto Google Maps and things of that
Yeah.
nature? Because I know the signage says, commercial traffic, especially off 55, but on the weekends when trucks load out, in front of my condo every Sunday night, and they do get hung up on the bollard down past your
Spark
place,
Street,
right
yeah.
by Begonias.
Yeah.
But I think from this board, I would love to see more work done on to try to eliminate that, because I think it would be better for the pedestrian traffic if there was less commercial traffic, but I don't really know. I mean, our board probably couldn't do anything, but hopefully maybe the city could
Yeah.
take that up to encourage
We do
rerouting.
have a truck route ordinance that was passed a number of years ago. What we're finding is that some of the trucking companies have not properly entered
Gotcha.
that into their GPS systems. And what, we've thought about, we've talked internally about how we can enforce that. But that's something we need to get,
Right.
we need to engage a little bit more about. But the problem that I think we've identified the problem is not everyone's updating it, the truck route, the design truck route into their system the way they're supposed to. And so how we move forward is, like I said, we will look into that. But, like I like to say is, I think we've identified the problem. It's just, we haven't gotten to the solution yet.
Understood.
Okay. Well, that's, yeah, that's all I had on that.
That's all you have? All right. The next item on the agenda is to elect the chair.
Yes.
And I didn't know until Tom was no longer on this.
Yeah, Tom Ward has resigned from the Historic Zoning Commission, so we have a void there and just want to move forward with a new chairperson.
When will the city replace that position?
We have, we have, I have for Mayor Chastain reached out to someone who's willing to serve in that capacity. And so tonight's meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, that will be discussed for confirmation.
Do we want to go ahead and elect a chair, or do we want to wait until that is filled? Or what would you guys like to do? I think it's probably up to us to do.
Yeah.
I would say the advantage is we can call special meetings, with the chair can call special meetings. We don't have that ability right now.
And right now, we don't have a chair. A chair?
Mr. Kirby has the best resume for said chair position.
I can't.
I
There-
think Michael might.
I'm
be
too
a
new.
good-
I'm too new.
I don't want to.
Well, maybe we can think on that one. Well, I mean, is there anyone that's willing to?
Can we elect an interim chair to have the call meetings and then finalize said chair position? at a later date?
That's probably a good idea, and we can do that, yes. So.
We want to do an interim chair. I'll serve as interim chair. Yeah, I'll accept as interim chair.
I'll make a motion we appoint Mr. Griffith as interim chair.
And then when we have a full board, we can bring that up again for vote. That's a good idea.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Welcome to the chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
I'm not opposed to it. I just know that I'm gonna be gone and I don't wanna.
well,
We don't
I
know.
wouldn't be opposed, but I will say,
You will be great.
I will say publicly right now, I will most likely be resigning my position on this board in the very near future. Possibly even today, unexpected later, but fortunately, I'm involved in a really exciting project downtown that we're looking forward to. And I just think I have served on this council for 10 or 12 years, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being a part of downtown and the Historical Zoning Commission. So, but I think it's time for me to step down, and so I will be doing that and resigning. Otherwise, I would be happy to serve, continue to serve. But anyway, that's all that I have. Is there anything else to come before this commission?
Just thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. If not, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that. Soon, yeah, well, I'm working on plans, 'cause